So I think it's because my main, like even though I'm logged in from all accounts, the main ID is different. Can you also send one to aryainsta3@gmail.com?
Arya, I think we are live now, so it's okay. We'll go ahead with.
All right, sir.
Hello, hi, good evening, friends. Good evening, everyone. Apologies for the delay that happened. There were some technical issues. We were unable to go live on YouTube. So here we are. Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. A quick thumbs up in the chat section if you can hear me properly and can also see me properly. Awesome, great. Hello, Krish. Hi, Prajwal. Hi, Dev, Ronik, Bharat, Sparsh, Bhumika, Ekta. Hello, everyone. Lakshmi, Devansh. Hi, hello. Hello, hi, good evening, everyone. So, as you all know, my name is Vaibhav, and I'm a lead mentor with IMS. And in today's session, we are going to discuss certain important issues with respect to NMIMS Law Admission Test 2021. So I will be sharing certain tips as to what you should be doing between now and the examination. And at the end, we also have we have also invited one of our ex-students, Arya, and I will be talking to her about NMIMS Law School. So that's additional bonus point, for you people to interact with a student who is studying at NMIMS Law School. So I think we'll begin. I'll keep a track of your chat box as well on the YouTube. But hold on to your doubts and questions. Don't worry, I will be answering all of them. You don't have to panic. Most of the questions that you people have been asking amongst yourself is something which I have already covered in this session. So just sit through and have patience, right? All right, so here we begin the session. Let us firstly understand what are the important dates with respect to NMIMS LAT 2021. The last date to register was 17th of June, but they have extended the deadline, and now the last date to register for NLAT examination is 20th June 2021. Okay, so if anyone has not registered so far for NLAT examination, you should definitely do that. Now, as according to what they have given on their website, the examination would be conducted on 27th, 2nd, and 4th. Maybe they might have sent a mail stating that they are not doing it on 4th and might be doing it on 3rd. Again, that clarity will be there. Don't worry about it. They will be sending that. They'll be rolling out those mails, right? So don't worry about it. Important thing is, now supposedly if you have say for example, now that LSAT India results are also out, and few of you might have scored some really very good percentile, say above 80, 85, or even above 90 percentile. I've had certain students asking me that should I apply for NLAT or not, or should I just, or will I be getting it on the basis of my LSAT India score? We don't really know for sure, right? It would be better. There's no harm in giving the test. There's no harm in writing the examination. Take NLAT examination. Try to do your best. Whatever you have done with LSAT India, great. If you get it through LSAT India, again, your end objective is to get into or secure a seat at NMIMS Mumbai or Navi Mumbai or the different campuses that they have. So our end objective is to get an admit or secure a seat. But with respect to writing the test or an exam, I think all of you should be writing NLAT examination. Again, by the first merit list approximately will be there. They'll be releasing it by 15th of July. And, the payment would be there for somewhere between 16th of July to 23rd of July. And thereafter, they'll be, they will have some second merit list. And if seats remain, then they will also have a third merit list. As according to what they have stated so far, commencement of classes will begin from 17th of August. And the last date for admission, what they have kept is as of now is 2nd of September 2021. Important thing again to note here is that it is going to be a home proctored examination. The mode of the exam is online test, home proctored. I hope all of you have gone through your, the DRC and the IRC checks that are there, the dry run check for your system overall to see whether it is compatible with the examination or not. If you have not done, if you're facing some difficulty in that, please get in touch with NMIMS people, write a mail to them, and don't worry, they will reply back. So again, no need to panic about it. You still have a lot of time between today and the actual final examination. Now, what they have said is that it is going to be a 150 marks paper. The maximum marks would be 150. There is a negative marking in this examination. So you'll have to be very, very careful. So 1 marks for every correct answer and negative marks 0.25 for every incorrect answer. There is no sectional time limit. There will be no sectional cutoffs as well. The duration would be 2 hours for this entire test. Now, section-wise breakup as of now is unknown to us. They have not made it apparently clear. But what are the subjects that they are going to ask would be logical reasoning, quantitative aptitude, English language and reading comprehension, general knowledge and current affairs, legal aptitude and legal reasoning. These are the 5 subjects that they are going to focus on, and they are going to ask you questions from these 5 areas. Now, what is the exact number of questions from each area? We do not know. It might be 30 each. You might be getting 50 questions from, say for example, a 35 in legal and GK. Again, we don't know. Whatever the number of questions they ask, any which way will not have any impact whatsoever. But yes, what will be important is that we go ahead and be prepared for anything that might be an element of surprise in the examination. Okay, what is the test pattern for NLAT going to be like? Now, there are 2 things that they have said. Again, on their website, the important instructions that they have given, they have said that it is going to be on CLAT UG pattern. So NMIMS LAT 2021 will be on CLAT UG pattern. Then on the other hand, they have also through a webinar said that it is going to be a multiple choice questions based on paragraph, which needs to be comprehended, or a single sentence as well. In any case, the questions will be of MCQ in nature. So what you can expect is it would be a mixture of CLAT pattern as well as a mixture of, say, a one-liner questions, which you generally do not find in CLAT new pattern. So we will have to be prepared for either of those conditionalities again, right? But yes, let us go with the assumption that majority of the questions, again, the sample paper that they have released on their website has all the questions which are one-liner questions. It has no questions with respect to CLAT UG pattern, which is the newer pattern of CLAT. Howsoever, again, this is what they have given on their website as an important instruction. So we will have to be prepared for both the conditionalities, whether it may be a CLAT pattern based, comprehension based, paragraph based. A paragraph may be given in 5 questions upon the same passage might be asked to you, or it might be a one-liner, a one-liner question on which you will need to answer choosing amongst the 4 options that they have given. So again, let us be prepared, and we are any which way prepared for both the situations, regardless of what is asked in the paper. Now, the good question is that what is a good score that we should be scoring for NLAT? Historically speaking, again, NLAT is a very, very new examination because it was the first time that NMIMS took NLAT examination in 2020. Prior to that, NMIMS did not take any entrance examinations for law school. Prior to that, NMIMS would admit only on the basis of your CLAT score as well as LSAT India score. Now, since last year, they have started with NMIMS law admission test also. Now, this is a good score, which is applicable for all the other law exams also. So what you should be targeting to score in a NLAT examination, try to score, or rather try to attempt 80% of the questions, which is 120 questions out of 150. Now, what you need to focus upon is your accuracy. Your accuracy should not be 60 or 65 or 70. You should be targeting an accuracy of 85% out of all the 120 questions. So out of 120 questions, 102 questions should be correct. Now, all the negative markings or whatever negative you get on the basis of the accuracy, so 80 to 85% accuracy, say if you score in all these law entrance examination, your score range would be between 95 to 100. And again, if I have to talk about CLAT 2020, last year, again, 90 to 95, or rather 100 to 105. This was the entire range between which you got all the top seven, top 8 national law universities. So this is something which will hold true not just for NLAT examination, but it is something which will hold true for all the entrance examinations for law, right? So your good score range in a moderately difficult paper should be somewhere between 95 to 100. Now, if a paper is extremely difficult, like what ALET gives or ALET paper are generally, historically speaking, then of course the cutoff comes down to say a 80 or 85. But again, we are not, that is not what we have seen historically, be it with CLAT or any other law entrance examination, barring ALET for NLU Delhi. Okay, so what is the first tip that I can give you before you take the actual examination? So you have to, so IMS students have two mock tests, two NLAT specific mock tests on your student portal, which is my IMS portal. So take both these mock tests before 24th of June. And once you are done, sit with your mistakes, analyze each and every question, analyze your performance, and see and identify what are your weak areas and what requires a revision. And then revisit those weak areas in the final last leg before the examination. Now, since NLAT 21 is going to be on the basis of CLAT pattern, that is what they have said on their website, then it would be beneficial that we solve SimCLATs, as many SimCLATs as we can take, and predominantly the SimCLATs which are there on, again, my IMS student portal. It is going to be important because, again, paper-based and online examination are requires two very different approaches. So since NLAT is an online home proctored test, I would suggest that you take all the SimCLATs which are available, SimCLATs as well as take-home SimCLATs which are available on your student My IMS portal. Solving of other non-CLAT mocks like ALET, SLAT, Maharashtra Law CET will any which way be of great help to you, because like I said, they have said that they might be asking you questions which are one-liner based, and these are non-CLAT examinations are one-liner based questions. So that is where it will help you. IMS students again should revisit the study material books. You have around 26 books that we have sent to you right from the beginning. I hope all of you have solved your practice books, CLAT 500 book, ALET and CLAT past year paper book, and CLAT 2021 pattern practice book. So make sure that you are done, or at least you have completed 75% of all these books before the examination, and that is something which is going to help you in the final exam. So that's tip number one: take mocks and solve all the materials that are available to you before the actual exam. Coming to tip two, which is, now let us get into the subject-wise bifurcation and subject-wise evaluation and what we need to do. For English and reading comprehension section, for RCs, you need to focus on your reading speed. Most of the questions are direct, so read the questions before you jump onto the passage. That will save your time, that will give you a better accuracy. And again, something which I always find helpful is that you ought to apply your mind before you jump to the options. That will help you reach or narrow down to the correct answer. The moment you start looking at all the 4 options, you start getting confused. So if you have read the question, you know what the question is, you know what the answer is basing on reading the passage, formulate your answer in your head and start finding out those answers in the options. That will eliminate the chances of you scoring a negative mark or you hitting an incorrect answer. Revise the rules of grammar, practice some parajumble sets, because again, if one-liner questions are asked, it may be required that you or rather the revision might come in handy. Vocabulary is something which you can't build over like 14 or 15 days, but yes, whatever you have done for the last 1 year or 1.5 years or 2 years, whatever you have done, a quick revision, a quick recap of all those words would definitely help you with respect to questions, understanding the context maybe of a particular passage or a particular line. The most important tip is please don't rush into this section. You need to give some time to reading comprehension in English. If it is not a direct question, you need to give some time to reading comprehension to comprehend properly. Because if you start panicking and if you start giving more time than it is necessary, then that is something which is going to be of a detriment to you rather than complementing your scores. But again, be also very wary of not spending any extra time on this section. Legal reasoning, you need to revise your basic concepts of torts, contracts, criminal law, and constitutional law. Looking at the sample paper that they had given principle and fact-based questions. So if principle fact-based questions are asked, majority of the questions would be from these 4 areas. So a quick revision of your concept books would definitely help you have a thorough understanding or a quick grasp of what the principal is saying. So that will definitely save you some time and it will definitely ease down your burden while you are taking the actual test. Make sure that all the IMS students have solved your topic-wise test, be it the new CLAT pattern or the old CLAT pattern. If the questions are principle fact-based, please do not apply any external knowledge because that would be a trap. You would be making a lot of mistakes if you start applying some extra knowledge. Don't do that. Form your answers again before going to the options. This holds true even for legal reasoning section. Elimination of options which is factual and not related to the principles will give you, or if you eliminate at least 2 of those options which are factual and are not related directly to the principle, will allow you to narrow down to choose between the correct answers. So always try using the elimination method for legal reasoning. That is going to definitely help you in not going for a lot of negative marks. And most importantly, revise all the important questions from all the mocks, be it CLAT or non-CLAT. I'm not asking you to go through all the mocks that you have given. All the important questions that you might have made a mistake, you might have made some silly mistakes, or you might not have understood it, and you might have highlighted, I'm sure. So go through those highlighted questions that you feel are important and just have a quick revision. And most importantly, check where did you make your mistakes and do you even remember those mistakes or not? Because if in case the same thing is repeated in the examination, you don't want to make the same or commit the same mistake again. A quick recap of all the weekly law scoops would definitely be of great help, so that anything that might be asked from recent legal recent legal happenings, you would at least be aware about the event. So if in case a entire passage is given to you on the basis of something, say that might have happened, some judgment that Supreme Court might have passed, or some so anything that we have discussed within the ambit of weekly law scoops, I think a quick revision of that would definitely help you if in case a passage is asked, so that you will be aware of the event and you would quickly directly go to the questions and move ahead, saving a lot of time and efforts during the examination. Moving to general awareness, which is the most important one. And this is again going to be a difficult section, not for you, but for everyone across. See, there is no scope, there is no limitation as to what can be asked in a general awareness. So last 7 days before your examination should just be revision, and more of revision of whatever you have read. Because see, these are random informations and it is difficult to contain all these informations inside our brain. So the more we revise, the short-term retention in our brain would be better. So that last 7 days, you should be revising your GK current affairs, whatever you have read. So IMS students, again, you should have solved all the 25 knowledge gyms on my IMS portal that are live by now. Around 1250 questions are there, which will come in handy. You might actually find some repetition of questions in the examination. Revise, most importantly, revise all the weekly current affairs catch-up sessions that we have done, or either through the recordings or through the handouts since November 2020. It is going to be of utmost importance because all the major important happenings is something which we have already covered through weekly current affairs catch-up sessions. Do not guesswork in this section. You either know it or you don't know it. If you don't know it, just move ahead, because you don't want to end up like a person who decreases the accuracy just because you took a lot of guesswork. See, even if the paper seems to be difficult for you while you are solving it, contain yourself, or rather contain that excitement of going ahead and marking a lot of questions. If you're feeling that the paper is difficult, go with the assumption that the paper is difficult for everyone. If you feel that the paper is easy, then go with the assumption that the paper is easy for everyone. So contain your excitement. That's the most important thing. Another point, another tip, please do not start with GK section unless it's your strong area. If you have been scoring very well in your box, do not start with GK section. It would be a blunder, because if you do not know a lot of answers, you get demotivated right in the beginning. So don't do that. If CLAT passages comes, don't read the whole passage. Just find out what the event is, move on to the questions, look at the questions, identify the topic, and start using your knowledge. It is not a reading comprehension test. So any which way, that entire passage, you are not going to find any answers. Yes, if you need, do have a look at the source. From there, you might actually, if you're lucky enough, you might get one answer at least, because that is what happened in the last year's CLAT paper. So just have a look at the source, but nothing beyond that. Just quickly, the first 4 lines, find out what the event is. You either know about this event or you don't know. Even if you don't know, look at the questions. If you're able to answer it on the basis of knowledge, great. If not, move ahead. Don't go for unnecessary negative markings. And again, most importantly, don't forget to revise the questions from your static GK book that has been provided by IMS. Those 1,000 questions for static general knowledge should be definitely revised before your examination. So in case if they ask you some static questions, you would be prepared to answer at least with the accuracy of say 75 to 85%, you'll be able to answer them. Moving to logical reasoning. Logical reasoning will again be bifurcated, or might be bifurcated into analytical reasoning and verbal reasoning. For analytical reasoning, please revise tables, practice approximation techniques, which will increase your calculation speed for the data interpretation and caselets. So that approximation is going to help you. That table revision is going to help you solve it quickly. Practice data sufficiency, arrangement, selection criteria, visual reasoning, Venn diagrams, family trees, logs, all from your IMS resources, all the mock tests that you might have taken, all the topic-wise tests. Practice them, revise them, and be in touch with them now. It should not be that you had solved all these like 1-2 months back. No, it becomes rusty. You need to be quick with numbers. You need to be quick with thinking. Do also practice and go through or revise implicit, explicit statements, assertion reasoning, statement conclusions, strengthening and weakening the arguments, all these, which is part of your verbal reasoning section. Because again, this is something which can be asked, because this is what is majority part of the CLAT section. Important would be to keep an eye on the time in this section, because a lot of the time what happens is that we get carried away by trying to solve a logical reasoning set, because this is an interesting set or an interesting section. Don't do that. See, even if you solve that question, you are going to get 1 mark. And if you skip, you're not going to get anything. There would be no negative, there would be no positive as well. So, but the important thing is not to be carried away by giving more time than is actually necessary for this section. And most importantly, question selection will be the key in this section. And how do you select the question? If you're unable to solve that question within 60 seconds, you leave it. Just go ahead, move to the next question. Don't waste your time on logical reasoning, because it takes at times, it takes a lot of time to understand. And think like an examiner, I might actually give you difficult questions in logical reasoning in the beginning, so that you waste your time, and towards the end I keep moderately difficult or an easier set of questions, whereby you don't even reach to them, or when you reach, you don't have a lot of time. So don't make that mistake. You will always have the time to revisit the questions at the end if you are left with some time. So keep a time, like logical reasoning is one section where you should definitely, keep your eye on the timer. Moving on to the last section, which is quantitative ability. Again, don't give too much time to this section, and keep it and try to keep it for the end if you're not comfortable with math. If you're very comfortable with math, again, great, go ahead with it. But make sure that you don't give a lot of time to this section. Again, no guesswork here. See, mathematics is difficult not just for you, but for majority of the students. I would say hardly 5% of the students are the ones who are comfortable with maths. So you should be trying to, rather than focusing a lot of attention on mathematics, what you should be trying is to maximize your score in the other sections and then come to mathematics. What would be important for you to revise would definitely be statistics, sequence and series, numbers, percentages, profit and loss, ratios, averages, APGP, time, speed, distance, work related questions. All of these topics you need to go through. A quick recap, a quick revision of all the formulas is something which will help. Solve at least 20 odd questions. Even if you have already done it from the book, just go through those questions and solve them again, just to be at a position where you are sufficiently, you have sufficient revision of all these topics, and there's a level of comfort. So even if you do it with a 60-70% accuracy, or a 70% of attempts in this section, with all the accuracy that with say a 90% accuracy, that is going to help you by leaps and bounds. But again, if you're not comfortable, don't start with quant. Keep it towards the end, because that is something which is going to be a problematic area for all of them. Now, the most important, tip 7, and after this, I will not be giving any further tips to all of you. Tip 7, what you're supposed to do during the test. 1, never panic. I know it becomes difficult. It's a home proctor test. Your web camera might stop working, or there might be some internet fluctuations or things like that might happen. But again, make sure that you keep you take deep breaths, stay calm all throughout the test. That is going to just imagine how Mahendra Singh Dhoni would react, or respond rather, how he would respond in that situation. Just stay that calm, just maintain that calmness. That is going to be the most important thing. I know it's difficult, it's easier said than done, but that is something which you'll have to consciously try doing that, right? Then again, during the test, start with the section where your attempts and accuracy has been the highest in the mock test that you have taken. Don't try something randomly new that you have never done in your mocks. The approaches that you have done, you have solved, you have taken in your mocks, that is something which you should be implementing in the final exam also. Don't try something entirely new. Read every question and decide whether you want to do it immediately, or you want to keep it for the later time, or you want to skip it altogether. Don't randomly mark any questions, because there is a negative marking. In the reasoning section, be very careful of the selection of questions. Avoid time wasters. Don't keep looking at the time all the time. Make sure that you give sufficient time for yourself to solve few questions before you look at how much time is remaining or not. There should be a mental clock that should be going on in your mind. Attempt one section completely, then move over to the next section. Avoid jumbling between sections, because online test it becomes very difficult to keep a track. So therefore, avoid that jumbled way of doing it. And since there is a negative marking, so do not attempt all the questions. Your ideal attempt should somewhere be between 120 to 125. again, if you're not very confident, don't just because I have said this in the session, if you're not very confident during the test, don't just for the sake of going or hitting 120, go and hit 120. Whatever you feel confident with, just go with that. Make sure that there is a negative marking, so you don't go ahead with a lot of you go ahead with a lot of other hits of the question. So with this, one part of the session is done. I hope all of you are connected to us through our Instagram or YouTube or Facebook and LinkedIn. Now, what we'll do in the next part of the session would be I will be taking and answering a few questions that you people have asked, and thereafter we will also be discussing and talking with Arya, who is studying in the first year at Kirit P. Mehta School of Law, and she is pursuing a BBA LLB course from NMIMS Law School. See, with respect to what can be asked in mathematics section, see, I understand that there is a concern with respect to mathematics as to what can they ask. Again, whatever you have studied at IMS, all the basics is something that you should be worried about. See, they are not going to give all the questions from one topic. So they are not going to give you geometric questions, like all the 10, 15 questions from geometry. They'll not do that. It will be bifurcated between different sections. So whatever sections you feel you're comfortable with, you're good at, just stick to those sections, revise them properly, and hope for the best that majority of the questions that come from those sections, you're able to answer with absolute cent% accuracy, right? Last year, NLAT examination was completely based on CLAT pattern. It was absolutely what a CLAT pattern looks like. So I think now I would invite Arya. Hello, Arya. Can you please turn on your camera and your microphone?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Hi. Hello. Hi, Arya. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm well. How are you?
Great. Just to give a quick introduction again for Arya, she was an ex-student of IMS, and she wrote all her examinations last year, 2020, in the midst of all the pandemic, and she performed really well in almost all the entrance examination. A very sincere student, that I have come across, and I have trained her personally as well. So she wrote her NLAT examination last year, and she's presently in the first year. I think she would be completing your first year now
Yes,
at
sir.
NMIMS. And you're pursuing BBA LLB, right?
Yes.
So how would you say that a person should choose between the courses BBA or BA LLB?
Really, the first advice I'll give you is do not associate commerce completely with BBA. Even if you're from an arts background, you can still pursue BBA, and it's still the faculty is really inviting and inclusive of all kinds of streams, even science students. So they start teaching you from the basics. So don't be scared of pursuing BBA if you are an art student. Except that I think really there's not quite a huge difference between of course, your course outline will be quite different, but at the end of the day, a BA LLB degree and a BBA LLB degree holds the same value. So look at what subjects you're interested in, maybe go through the NMIMS website, look at some previous course outlines, and you can decide that way.
Absolutely. So basically, it's the brand value of the college that matters, and not what subjects you end up reading in law school, because those are merely graduation subjects. You are there to study law and understand how to maybe interpret law subjects better. So Arya, again, one quick question. How are your seniors and how are the faculty members at NMIMS School of Law?
I've had an especially pleasant experience with my seniors. They are actually pretty inviting, and so as soon as college started, within a week or so, we had introductory sessions to all the college committees, and they sent out their forms, they sent out their flyers, they told us how the college works, they tried to include us in all their activities. They also had online freshers for us, to facilitate some conversation. As for the faculty, I've had only positive experiences. especially in terms of BBA LLB faculty, because they are the ones I've interacted with the most. They have all kinds of different activities in class to like engage you. So it's not just about research papers and sub deadlines. They have activities in class. They tell you how to research. They tell you, um, we have fun presentations, and one faculty member actually expected us to present a topic to the entire class and teach a topic so we can get an insight into the other side. And yeah, they try to explain all concepts to you, and they're open to any and all doubts. You can also reach out to them via email, and they'll reply to you within 2 days at max.
Okay. So how has your experience, Arya, been with respect to online teaching at a university level?
Online teaching. Okay, so we have a subject called Moot Court. Right. I think except for that one subject, everything can be integrated into the online stream. We have had business subjects and contracts, and one thing I'll say, which I found quite peculiar, was IMS really prepared me for NMIMS. And by that, I mean, especially in subjects like contracts and torts, I knew a lot of the stuff already. And I could answer this to the professors openly, which was really surprising. But yeah, it has been quite easy to adapt. We use the platform Microsoft Teams. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The professors show us PPTs and interactive videos, and we have quizzes and such to make the class more engaging.
Okay, and how has your interaction been with your, batchmates so far?
So a lot of the batchmates actually connected via informal NMIMS group that was formed at the beginning. That started with IMS students that got into NMIMS, and then we added a couple of the other, other coaching classes, and we got together and formed class groups. So it's been pretty fun to interact with them. A lot of them are really smart. So everyone's doing either internships or publishing papers, or they're in college committees, and some of them are even HODs. So it's competitive, but in a very good way. It pushes you to be the best version of yourself.
Right. So we actually tried to have a few more people like Khushi or Sneha today, but unfortunately they had their prior commitments, college, university commitments, even at say 7 or 8 in the evening. So we could not have them. But nonetheless, so share some experience about internships or maybe publishing some paper. What have you done in the last 1 year?
Okay, so I have published a paper under the title A Comparative Assessment of the Judicial Systems in UK, USA, and India. I wrote this paper with 2 of my other classmates, and it seems hard at first, but the only thing you're really supposed to do is look up call for papers, and just stick to their format, stick to their guidelines, adjust your paper a little bit and send it across. You have to take all the chances you can get. As for internships, I haven't applied to any as of now. I will be pursuing internships in post-July or August, because that's when we'll be having a short break, and I'll be able to learn the most from the internship.
Okay, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, how did you actually prepare for NLAT examination? What was your approach?
Okay, so I did not keep the NLAT examination in mind, to be very honest. I kept the CLAT examination in mind. So I had kept up with all the IMS bulletins the weekly bulletins, and I had gone through all the GK PPTs, as well as some of the YouTube videos. And I mainly I don't think I used any other resources personally. You can also use GK Today and some of those. But yeah, and one thing I'll state is NLAT's GK is considerably easier and easier to understand or crack when it's compared to CLAT or say AILT. So you can be a little relaxed about that.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you keep your experience based on the difficulty level of the paper?
Last year's paper was actually very easy. I mean, easy is a comparative term. Of course, a lot of people didn't get in. But it all just depends on how focused you are during the examination. I think I would rate it like on a difficulty scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a 3 because I expected the paper to be way more, daunting, to say the least.
Okay, so anything that I did not discuss while sharing the tips which you would want to discuss with the students who would be taking the exam this year?
I'd say actually my network dropped a bit, so I'm not sure if you discussed this, but I'd say just in GK, just even if you haven't read a lot of the stuff, just keep giving quizzes. Just keep giving random quizzes, the ones IMS provides, the ones that you can find online. Don't try to sit and read, a year's current affairs at the last minute. That won't be happening. But yeah, just go through a lot of quizzes and take tests more than you read.
So guys, Arya has also stressed on the same fact that I stressed upon, and I will reiterate it again. Make sure that you solve all your knowledge in tests, all the quizzes. Make sure that you go through all your weekly current affairs catch-up sessions, because again, there we have solved questions rather than discussing the events. So the more quizzes, the more questions that you solve, the chances are better that you will be getting the answers correct, or there would be a relatability factor when it comes to a question and a question that you have already solved in the past. So that becomes pretty important, right? Okay, so any experience with respect to some moot courts that you might have taken part in during your first year?
Yes, sir. So there was a novice moot court that happened, which was just a freshers moot court. A lot of teams participated. So if you're unfamiliar with it, which I'm pretty sure you won't be, it's just 2 speakers and a researcher, and you have to make a memorial and you have to argue from the appellants as well as the respondent side. And one thing I'd advise to do is make it in advance. Do not keep it for the last minute or you will panic. But it was actually a pretty fun experience. It did not emulate an actual court directly, but it gives you a lot of insight. It gives you a lot of public speaking skills and, helps you out.
So a very, very funny anecdote that I would like to share here with respect to moot court is today morning, I helped a student who was in 4th year of law school. She had sent me a moot proposition last night. I was a little busy and I was very tired, and I said that, today I'll not look at it. She said, all right, have a look at it maybe tomorrow morning. And I somehow remembered early in the morning that, I have to go through it. I just went through it, and she had already said that the teacher had, said that you can't use Contracts Act, you can't use transfer of property, you can't even use personal laws. So what is the law that would be applicable? And, so after reading the proposition, I understood, and I said that Indian Registration Act mein jaake dekho, you will get the answer to it. And she was like, I finally have the correct answer. So it's like even students who are in 4th year of law school, I'm still helping them out. And of course, it definitely keeps, a good touch with all the students that, I've trained. But most importantly, yes, moot court is definitely a very, very fun activity, which allows you to, get and research and read a lot about as well. So any other thing that, you might want to talk about with respect to NMIMS School of Law?
Yeah, continuing about a little about the moot court, our seniors, actually, our direct seniors, they won a national level competition through NMIMS. And we have a lot of interactive sessions, as I said. So they actually came to our moot court session class yesterday, and they explained to us a lot about the research procedures and how exactly you start with your research and, a lot of speaking skills. And NMIMS also provides you with a lot of resources. So we have a library, of course, and any possible database that you want, you can access it through the website. So yeah, you'll have a lot of guidance here.
Okay, great. I don't know if you remember it or not, but I don't even think that NLAT discloses the score or the marks that you have secured. Did it last year? I don't think so.
I don't think it did. It just shows you if you got in or not.
Yes, that way that there's not a lot of transparency with respect to the results that they score. So, but overall, what was your approximate score in the CLAT mocks that you were scoring last year?
I'm not sure exactly, but I think I was at a good accuracy level.
What I remember your scores, it was somewhere between 75 to 95. That was a range that you kept fluctuating between. One or two mocks you had scored somewhere on 100 or so as well, but that was just one or two.
One or two.
Okay, was a digital calculator displayed while you were giving the exam last year?
Yeah, a digital calculator was displayed, but I'll say this, a lot of people were not able to use this, including myself. This was completely useless. So be prepared for that. I'm pretty sure they took our feedback and, will take that into consideration for this exam, but do not completely rely on it.
Okay, so this is a very important key point that, you people should keep in mind, that try it for one or two questions. If it does not work, be prepared mentally that it might not work and you'll have to do your manual calculation itself. Don't go into that panic, zone.
Yeah, one thing I'd say is definitely, even if you make a blunder and you're half an hour in and almost none of the answers, do not panic. Keep a calm mind. If you're confused about a particular section, move on to another section, solve that, something you're actually good at. Like my strength was always English, so I solved that section first because it gave me a lot of confidence. So definitely do that.
Right, absolutely. So always look out for choosing those questions that are easier. Attempt those questions quickly, the easier ones. Make sure that you have not made a mistake in them. And thereafter, start moving to the more difficult or the highest difficult ones. If you can solve them, you have time, great. If you don't, you have already given your best. So always keep that in mind, that question selection is going to be the key. Like I think we have discussed, score is not something which NMIMS declares. They just tell you whether you have gotten in or not, whether you are selected or not selected. So no one can actually know. But yes, what we can decipher from how, like I can vouch for this fact that, Arya last year was scoring in her CLAT pattern mocks or even other mocks as well. She was scoring in a range somewhere between 75 to a 95. So that was her range where, she was doing. So again, like I said, aim for somewhere between 90 plus, and that is what you should be targeting to get into very safely to get into NMIMS School of Law. Okay, Arya, one question. Do you even remember how many questions did you attempt approximately?
I believe I attempted almost all the questions because in my view and from the mocks I'd solved, they were pretty easy to crack and worth taking the chance. So I solved almost all of them.
Okay, so again, like I said, 120 plus, it could go if the paper seems to be very, very easy. Always remember, if you're finding the paper to be easy, don't get too excited because again, you might make a lot of silly mistakes, which you should not be making. So always go with the assumption that if it is an easy paper, it's an easy paper for everyone. And always go with the assumption that if it is a difficult paper, it is a difficult paper for everyone. Since last year was also the first time that NMIMS was conducting this examination, it was something which we had also predicted that the exam is going to be a little on the easier side. Same way it was with GLAD as well, but we can't be very sure of, or we can't commit to the same thing as of now for this year NLAT as well. So I think we have taken up all the questions that we wanted to take up. I would sincerely like to thank you so much, Arya, for coming and joining, and sharing your experiences with a lot of students who might actually go on to become your juniors in college. So
I would love to see that.
yes, exactly. And all the ones who are there attending the session or who would be watching the session at a later stage, a familiar face at NMIMS School of Law Mumbai campus. So you can always
please feel free to reach out to me if you do get in. I would love to be guide you or something.
And she has always been a very, very helpful person to all her friends as to what I have made an assessment. So thank you so much, Arya. Thank you so much once again for joining in. It was a real pleasure talking to you after a long time. And a quick anecdote again, I saw you after a very long time at the Mariaki Fest, where Arya had won the best speaker, and the like you were the first prize for that competition.
A murder mystery event.
Yes, a murder mystery event, which I had gone on to judge that event. Fortunately, she was not. She did not come to my lot where I was judging.
Yeah, there were two judges, so
it would have been a difficult one. Though I did, though Chinmay did come into my lot, but so yes, there were a familiar faces here and there again. But thank you so much once again, Arya, for joining and giving your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah. Bye. So I think thank you so much to all the students who joined. Before you leave, it would be great if you leave some good feedbacks for the session. I hope all your questions have been answered. I hope you got all the key takeaways from this session for your NLAT examination. Just stay calm, stay focused, and keep up your preparations. Do not lose your motivation level. Keep pushing yourself to the maximum that you can score, the maximum that you can do. You don't have any other distractions as of now. You don't have your boards, you don't have anything else. Just focus on your competitive examinations and try to score as much as you can and get into one of the best colleges which you have aimed for yourself. So thank you so much. Stay safe, take care everyone, and wish you all the very best. This is Vaibhav Prakash signing off. Goodbye.